Do you?
You get really hot-headed.
I wish you would just...
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're talking to you guys about what? Johnny and Bao from Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 9, baby. Listen, guys, if you're new to this channel, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell button for notification of what? Uploads. For those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Let's get it. Stay hydrated. Why? Because the streets are hot out there. Alrighty. Before we get the conversation flowing, let's get the banner going, isn't it? That's right. Little Black Book, you know what time it is. Yes. So we're talking to you guys, obviously, about Johnny and Bao, and I want to really focus on a particular point, which was just played a minute ago as well. That, you know, Johnny really wants an emotive woman out of Bao. I think what he's really claiming here from Bao is he wants emotion. He wants an emotive response, not a logical one. We know that Bao is very logical. She plans everything ahead of time, and she can be, I guess, somebody who's very logical. But what he's looking for is the emotive movement from Bao, where it's free-flowing, it's without thought, it is just instinctive. But that's just not the woman she is at this particular moment. She's not instinctive. She is a planner. She will put her head together and make it work. I think a very good example of that was with the whole painting situation. When they did the whole painting situation, he just wanted it to be emotive, right? So when they were doing the painting, I'm just going to go free flow, right? And then she was like, no, it's got to be the same size, because she wants things to be done, tree, we mean done it exactly how it needs to be done, all right? Follow the instructions as it should be done. She wants it, But the trouble with that for Johnny is that he doesn't work like that. He's very emotive. The brother was almost crying when she said, I've got some nice words to say about you, when they were sitting on the bed just before he killed the whole mood by saying let's go to bed and have sex, basically, which they did. But he's a very emotive person because of what he's experienced in terms of family as well, right? And here we're gonna just watch a little bit of this clip between him and Bao, and there's some really interesting things that are happening. But one specific thing that I want to focus on is him spilling the truth, and the truth has become a weapon of choice for Johnny, and I'm gonna explain what that actually means. Let's play.
To ask me more questions, like to understand how I feel in a moment.
Okay, so when he's in, obviously, his moment, he wants more questions to be asked his way. He doesn't want to be left alone. He wants to be asked questions. He wants the person to kind of pull him out of why he feels the way he feels, right? Because that, for him, makes him feel like you care about him. So when he's in an emotional situation and he's emotionally stocked up, let's say he's a bit frustrated, what he wants is for her to ask questions. What's up with you? What's wrong? How are you feeling? Why are you feeling that particular way, right? And it's not necessarily bad. It's just the way that he likes to feel validated, and the way that he needs it to be able to see that you actually care about him, okay? I think a lot of it, though, does come from the fact that he does need counseling. He does need therapy. Okay, because I already said this from the very beginning when I did the first review about them, is both of them are carrying very heavy insecurities, and he uses emotion to control, she uses her logic to control. That's how they move. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're on the same side. They're on the same side. They both like to control and like to have control, but they do it in different ways. They use different methods. His is emotive, hers is through what? Logic. So when I'm watching, obviously, Johnny and Bao, as they're going to say again,
just ask me, like, how are you feeling right now? Like, literally, that's all you have to ask me.
How are you feeling right now?
I feel like you're being kind of judgy about me, you know?
So right now he feels a little bit judged. He feels a little bit judged by Bao, because sometimes Bao maybe come off very logical, and like I said, but what I think he's starting to experience within the course of the relationship is maybe the insecurity now beginning to play. When she doesn't get emotive, it leaves him vulnerable. When she stays in logic, he feels vulnerable because he's having to show emotions. And many men don't like showing their emotions to women because they're scared that that woman will use it against them. So the fact that he's being more emotive and she doesn't bring emotions to the table is where he feels his insecurity is going to happen, or is happening for him. Okay, so he wants, yes, ask me more questions. He's saying, look, show me that you're interested. Show me that you care. Show me that you're not just blocking me off. Show that you're not just laughing at me. Show me that you're actually interested in me. You know what I'm saying? Bear in mind, remember how he wanted a woman to be. He wanted her to be what? Someone that chased after him, someone that wanted him, somebody that would be on the side of being almost too much, right? He wants to feel like the person really desires him, which is like why that whole vixen conversation, or that whole the energy's cute situation is a problem for him, because what he wants is that sexy, sultry, that kind of natural chemistry to happen between himself and the partner, and he's not getting that from Bao. Right? He wants that natural affinity of flirting and just hot looking at each other, and it's like, I want to just do this, do that. He wants that, but he's not getting that from Bao. The spontaneity, he doesn't get that from Bao in that aspect. All right? I think it plays all into itself. Let's have a little more.
I feel like you're making assumptions about what you think is happening based on what you think you know about me, but we barely know each other.
You've literally...
What's really interesting is that he uses, we barely know each other. So we've been talking for the last 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 days. How do I not know a little bit more about who you are if we're talking and we're conversating and we're not having sex? I think Bao knows you in some respect. But the fact that you're saying that you don't know me very well, you don't know me at all, basically, it's quite interesting. I think it's quite an interesting choice of words. Why did you use that? And I think the reason why he uses those choice of words is because she doesn't know him the way that he wants her to know him. She doesn't chase after him emotively the way that he wants it to be done. All right. And this is why I'm saying that partly this is therapy that he needs, because what he's asking for is a woman to fawn all over him. He basically wants that woman to desire him, want him, be sexual with him, and basically chase him. So when he's emotional and upset, throwing his little emotional tantrum, I want you to come and get me. Show me that you want me, right? And that's where the therapy is needed. Because it's like when he's throwing emotional tantrums, when he's walking away, going to his house, I want you to come and get me. I want that feeling of being desired, right? Because that's what you never had with your parents. That's got nothing to do with a girlfriend right now, but to do with your parents. And you're now projecting that onto the girl that you're with, which is obviously our sis Bao, right? Let's have a little bit more, all right?
You told me you wanted to duck and run.
I have before. That's right. I have before. I said if this was a dating scenario.
So it's about to get to a part where I wanted us to focus on, where I don't know what Johnny has created something and doesn't want to take responsibility for the creation he's made. When you decide to tell the absolute truth, the dark truth, okay, the absolute dark truth, okay, what that is, you know what I'm saying?
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
When you hand that dark truth to somebody, right, which is the dark thoughts in your mind, you have to be responsible for what's about to come back. When you let her know, I want to leave, if this was a relationship and we weren't married, I'd have left by now. That's a dark truth. But guess what? You've planted seeds in the forest, my friend. You've planted seeds in her mind now that you potentially might leave. Because you're saying if it wasn't the fact that it wasn't marriage, you would have left by now. Still doesn't make it any better. You've planted a seed. Now the seed is growing, and now she's taking you seriously and actually saying to you, well, in the past you told me you'd want to leave. What do you want me to do? Do you know what I'm saying? You're making me feel insecure, which is where I don't want to go too fast, because we'll get there, all right?
This is where we would end things.
But why do you need to say that?
Because I'm telling you exactly how I feel, so you understand, like, where my head is at this exact moment. I want you to know exactly how I'm feeling and take it how you want.
Now that, what he just said, isn't for Bao, it's for your counselor. That is for your therapist. Look, you can say things to your partner and you can't take it back. You have to measure what you say. There's life and death in the tongue, and there's life and death in your relationship by what you say in it. Okay? Now, you see what he said? Oh, take it or leave it. Why did you have to say it? You see, what Johnny doesn't realize is he's oversharing some thoughts in his mind. That wasn't meant for Bao. That's meant for your counselor to let them know, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm at the edge of my relationship and I feel like I want to quit. If this wasn't a relationship, if this wasn't a marriage, I would have quit by now. That's for your counselor, not for Bao. Because now you set a precedence of doubt within her mind. The truth has now become a weapon. Because remember, the Bible lets us know that the sword of the truth is like a sword, but it's a double-edged sword. It can cut the enemy, but it can also cut you back. You are using the truth as a weapon against your partner. This is information she does not need to know and never needed to know at that point in time, right? I get it. Check-ins are good. Honest conversations are good. Yes, having open-ended conversations are really, really good. But when you keep mentioning certain truths like this, it's going to only set in some level of insecurity in Bao when it comes to how does he trust the relationship and trust you within the relationship, right? So you're setting a precedence by what you're saying, Johnny. That's a bit more.
Does it make me feel good? No, it does not.
I thought we were just gonna have a great conversation.
Now, if you notice both of them, and more or less Johnny at the beginning from it as well, body language. Okay, watch. I want to go a little bit back. Bao has been open throughout the whole entire time. If you just watch it, Bao's a bit more open during the conversation, right? But Johnny's going to be the first one to do it. He's just about to do it there. She's been quite open with her body language because she's talking about how she feels and everything. Johnny goes into the clasp first to let you know he's getting defensive. To let you know he's preparing his defense. What he's about to hear, he doesn't want to get hurt. So he's actually trying to get her first. Right? That's why that comment about, well, you either you take it or leave it. It's actually, you're actually attacking and you don't realize that. With your words. Right? Okay, cool.
What our disconnect is here. Bao does fit a lot of the things I'm looking for, but there are a lot of red flags.
So she actually went into the clasp and she released it. I think that's because they cut that part of her edit from later on and brought it forward because look where her hands end up. Her hands end up. Her hand ends up by her chin, not in front of her. But Johnny's hands stay in the clasp. She's going to mirror him later on when she gets defensive. Because when she realizes, I feel like I'm getting hurt by what you're saying, that's when her hands begin to clasp. But at the beginning, she's not. She's keeping it open, right? He's still doing it open. Oh, let me not too far. Okay, let's not go too far. Okay, we're still open.
Just ask me, like, how are you feeling right now? Like, literally, that's all you have to ask me.
How are you feeling right now?
I feel like you're being kind of judgy about me, you know?
It's still quite open. It's not, it's not closed at the moment because he's explaining, she's explaining. They're both quite open and receptive to the conversation at this particular time and moment. Okay, we're gonna fast forward it a little bit.
I feel like you're making assumptions about what you think is happening based on what you think you know about me, but we barely know each other.
You've literally.
Again, still quite open. It's not changed, anything like that. They're having honest conversation. It's deep, but it's honest conversation, and their body language is showing they're still open to the conversation. It's a little bit tense. I can see because as Bao is on the table, she's quite hunched over, and her hands are on the table quite directly. I'm guessing to restrict any movement. But it's still an open-ended conversation.
Literally told me you wanted to duck and run.
I have
after
before.
arguing.
That's right. I have before. I said if this was a dating scenario, this is where we would end things.
But why do you need to say that?
Now, just to add a little bit of context to what I was saying about the truth being used as a weapon, what he's doing here is basically saying, I don't need you. What he's saying is, I can live without you. And actually, it's actually a defensive thing to do. Right? What you're actually doing is covering your insecurity. What you're letting the other person know is, I'm all good by myself, but you're really not saying that. What you really are showing to a person is, I don't care. Right? And if you were to leave, I don't care. Yeah? And what you're doing is you're trying to stop being vulnerable. You are actually blocking the vulnerability. Right? You're trying to show that you're hard and that you've got it contained and you're level and you're strong. And you're blocking the vulnerability, which is being open to the relationship and to the feelings of the other person and being receptive to the fact that it's a unison of teamwork, right? So when he says, that it's a truth, take it or leave it, right? Basically, I remember a situation. I remember in a relationship where I was saying to the girl, listen, I don't mind. Listen, if it gets to a point where we break up, I'm not gonna die, bruv. I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not gonna die. And I said that because actually I was trying to prevent myself from feeling. I said it to her because it was a power. In a sense, it's a power move. It's you're letting the other person know I don't need you. If anything happens, I don't need you. But what's behind that? It's insecurity. It's the insecurity telling her, because you know if you fall in love, you give that person the power. And when you fall in love, that person now holds your heart in their hand. So when you're saying, listen, if you ever leave, I wouldn't be heartbroken, I'll be good. Right? What you're sending the signal to a person is they don't care. They're vulnerable. And by the way, also the person who cares the least oftentimes has the power. It's a power move. It's a defensive power move that strips the vulnerability and tries to put power back into your hand by force. It's an insecure move by Johnny to keep saying, or to always want to update her, this is how I feel in this moment. You don't need to let her every single time there's a negative thought in your mind about the relationship to let her know, because all you're doing is planting seeds. And what you're doing is wrestling power back into your hands rather than just being open and vulnerable. Because remember, submission is about yielding power. When both man and woman yield power, they enter into servitude. When both parties are on that wavelength, we win. When one wants to serve and the other doesn't, what we get is a win-loss situation. Then people get frustrated and hurt. What Johnny's trying to do is avoid trying to have that vulnerable state where they can both get to win-win. What he wants to do is win-loss because he's insecure. That's the trouble we're facing right now. So whenever he makes that comment about I would have left if it wasn't in a relationship, whatever, it's actually a comment that's based out of insecurity. You're trying to wrestle back the power. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Johnny's openness of certain truths are beginning to cause doubt in a relationship. You got to know the time in the season when you say something and when you don't. It's not always you speak, and it's not always you tell the truth. And what I mean by that, it's not always volunteer the truth. It wasn't asked for. You have to know the time in the season. But I'm going to leave it there. We'll bring them up again a little bit later when we do a second review. But for now, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. You know what I'm saying? Level black, you know what time it is.